Yeah. Good morning. Mark's market overview and trading research starts now. Good morning, everybody. The DNC convention started yesterday. Watched Joe Biden tie Kamala Harris to everything that he's done since he started his presidency. And by the end, you could see that her and old sourpuss Tim Walz did not look happy by the end of that thing. So, good morning, Lamar. Morning,
Well,
Mark.
it just shows you that forget the Republicans. It's the Democrats that have just destroyed this guy, man. They didn't even have him on until 11:30 last night. You think he would have been like the first or second speaker?
You would think so.
But what's going on now is that all of this stuff with him getting all these payoffs is all going to come out now because of the Hunter Biden tax trial. I mean, it already has. They've already confirmed they got $3 million from the Romanian oligarch, and that's from the Justice Department. That's not some right wing
No,
news source saying it.
that's his
So
Justice Department.
yeah, so he's he deserves to have a bad legacy because he's a sleazebag. He could have just retired 4 years ago, and there would be no issues, and everyone would just been like, he would just fade into the good night. But he knew all this stuff could come out, and he decided, you know what? I've been here 50 years. It's my turn. I don't care if it comes out. I don't care what it does to the country. So here we have it. 4 years later, 3.5 years later, his own party turns on him and pushes him out. So
I think the
can't
real
blame the
sad
Republicans
part
for that one.
Real sad part about it is, though, is you watch these people that like were protesting yesterday morning, and they would walk down the street and they're calling him Genocide Joe and Killer Kamala, and they're still going to vote for him. It just makes no sense, man. How do you
I
get
don't know if they're going to
nothing?
vote for him.
Well, a lot of them in that protest
They'll
said
probably
they
just
were
not vote.
maybe. Well, let's hope that happens because I tell you, if we get a Kamala Harris for 4 years, her price controls and her single payer healthcare system, we're done. We might as well we're just done.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like overspending is what causes the inflation. So what's their solution? Oh, let's just spend more. Let's give everyone $25,000 to buy a house.
And price controls
Even
never
their
work,
own,
man.
even all these Democrats are talking about what a stupid plan it is.
Yeah,
I guess the Washington Post went after
quite a
economists are
few of them
split.
did. Yeah,
Well, who the hell cares what economists think?
there you go. Who the hell thinks? What cares what a communist thinks? I agree with you completely.
Economists, the economists.
Communist.
Yeah, well, whatever. All right. Anyway, let's try to look at the market here, see what's going on. Pretty quiet, I guess.
There's a nice little pop there at the end of the day, though, in Apple and in a few other little stocks.
Let's see here. Yeah, looks like it gave back some, but really quiet. I mean, it's not even really trading this morning. Well, it's unchanged this morning, so not too much going on over there. Let's see what's going on with the S&P. I don't know what the market's waiting for. Did you see though? I saw a story. Yeah, so now the S&P is. See, we talked about how if it breaks 553, the next stop is probably up around here. Because I don't
Yeah.
see too much that looks like there's going to be resistance in here. But there was an article that talked about how the job revisions are going to be down by 780,000 when they do the year-end job revisions. Did you see that?
No, I did not. But they revise it every month anyway. So that's what I mean by they're just pumping the numbers.
Job revision, I guess 1 million.
So ultimately, Mark, that's just pumped the stock market up with all these fake numbers every time, correct?
I don't know if it's going up or down. Because there was a time where bad news was good news and then good news. So now look at
That's
this. So I
true.
don't know. I don't know if I believe this. And I looked on Zero Hedge, which is a site I'm somewhat familiar with, and it's not on there. But today is Tuesday. So tomorrow, on Wednesday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics will revise jobs for April 23 to March 24 they will revise them lower by up to 1 million. This means that all beats recorded in the past year would have been misses, and the
Yep.
U.S. job market is in worse shape than the administration would admit.
Yep. And the stock market will be a lot lower.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is true. I guess we'll see tomorrow. But I mean, that's kind of a big deal, I think.
Yeah, it's a big deal. But
And it's
news is
because
kind of
we've seen the discrepancies, right? There's three different ways that they determine jobs, and I'm not sure what the third way is. But the first way is they ask the companies, and that's the numbers that you see in the news. The second way is they ask the households, and that you don't see in the headline news, but it's available in the household job uh, gains or have been much less than the other ones. So I don't know. This would be pretty interesting if this comes out and it turns out that this is true. It's like, how could they be so wrong? And this is Bloomberg chief economist Anna Wong. So, Bloomberg is a pretty legit organization. We estimate that non-farm payrolls has been reported by the establishment survey will likely be revised down by 730,000. The labor market has been
it's crazy. Golly damn, that's crazy. That just means that every month it was 40 to 70,000 inflated than it actually was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that this story is not getting more. People aren't paying more attention to it.
Well, you got the
So
DNC convention. You got
yeah, what
they
a
got all the
clown show. I mean, there's
protests
no way I
going
would
on.
watch it, but I was watching some of the highlights. That Ocasio-Cortez, she's a big fraud. I actually know people that live in her district, and they were going to move this they were going to build an Amazon distribution center there, which would have been
Hmm.
like 10,000 jobs, and she fought it. And the only reason why she fought it is because the guy who owns Amazon is really rich.
Yeah, I
This is
remember that.
this is the oh, what is this? This is from 2 years ago. Yeah, I mean, she could be one of the dumbest people ever elected to Congress, and she's powerful because people like her for some reason.
Yeah, but I don't know if you remember when she first came to Congress, she was complaining that she didn't have the money to get a house and she didn't have the money to do this. Now she's worth like $19 million
Yeah,
in
right. She's
eight
driving
years.
her
Yeah,
$80,000 car.
that's a pretty lucrative gig there in Washington.
Unbelievable. And she acts like she's from the hood. She's actually from Yorktown, which is really, really nice place. I have my cousins live there. All right. Anyway, so it looks to me like the S&P's got some more upside here. See how we got the gap over here, right?
Yeah.
We know that one of the main reasons why we get resistance is because we get these remorseful buyers who are trying to sell on the way back up. Like, so someone buys something at 10 and it goes to 8, and they say if it gets back to 10, I'll sell it. So when you have levels here where you gap through, and you can even see over here we gap down, there's no one who bought because there didn't trade within there. So when we reverse and come back to those levels going in the opposite direction, you tend to make a quick move right through them. See here? So we gap from here to here. That got refilled in one day. Then we got this fast move here. When we get the rip higher here. So I would say it looks like there's a good chance we're going to get up to around there. Let's go see what's going on in our technology sector over here. Yeah, I mean, tech looks kind of similar too. I mean, it looks a little overbought, but it looks like there's some room to run.
Thank you for coming today, Jonathan.
Yes, you're welcome. All right, so a couple of things to watch, right? Here I think is probably the main thing to focus on to see whether the S&P will continue to move ahead. I mean, it looks like it will, but if the financials really reverse, and it doesn't look like, I mean, there's nothing going on this morning, but you see how they're at the price level that was resistance before? See, so here we get up to resistance. Now there's resistance at former resistance levels, a resistance at former peaks. And this is because of psychology. We have people who bought here who, right when they're done buying, the price goes lower. And they're like, damn it. If this gets back to my price, I'm going to get out at break even. So you get back up to the peak and there's resistance. So there's a reason why there's resistance at former peaks. It's not just some old Wall Street saying. And then what happens is some of the people that want to sell, start to worry that other sellers are going to undercut them because they know the buyers are going to go to whoever's willing to sell at the lowest price. So they reduce their prices that they want to sell at. And it ends up becoming this snowball effect, which pushes the price down. So that could potentially happen here. Now, if we break resistance, that tends to be a bullish thing because it tells us that the sellers who created the resistance are gone. So the odds are pretty slim that this is going to go sideways. When we get to an important price level, a lot of times we're only there for a day or two. Like back here, we were there for 2 days before the thing just kind of fell. So we'll get some clarity as to the broader direction of the market here. And I'm really kind of curious to see that job thing tomorrow to see if that's just kind of some kind of an anomaly or if it really is a big deal. Because it sounds on the surface, it sounds like a big deal. I mean,
Yeah, it does.
Now they can think of the optics for the election. Now Trump could, if that's true, Trump could be like, you guys haven't had any jobs growth. As a matter of fact, you've been releasing a lot of fake data, which is
Well, we've thought that for a long time. So let me ask you this: would that cause the Fed to not raise the rates because they knew the data was manipulated, or what?
I have no idea, man. I don't think they're that sophisticated. I don't know. All right, let's look at some of these other sectors here. But I'll tell you what, it will be good for a conspiracy. I mean, the Clinton administration manipulated the CPI when they were trying to get through Hillary care there.
Yep.
So that's a fact. And all right, so yeah, kind of the same thing here with the financials are more important than industrials, but it's another thing we could keep our eye on here too. We got industrials right at a peak now. If these things start to roll over, you can look for some short ideas within the sector. So, like, just say you want to find out what's in the industrial sector. We're looking at the industrial ETF here. So we could look at the sector ETF fact sheet, and you can see all the companies that are in it. This one isn't really dominated by particular companies like some are. Some other sectors are. But we could look at these for some potential trading ideas, like I don't know, General Electric, Caterpillar, GE Aerospace. Yeah, I mean, see how this is right at resistance? Not surprising. What was next? Caterpillar.
Caterpillar, yeah. Then you had Honeywell a little down the list, but they're all kind of balanced in this.
Honeywell. That's been kind of hit.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I mean, you could just kind of go through the stuff and just kind of like improv, right? All right, well, there's some pretty interesting support there. So if it breaks the support eventually, that's where maybe I consider taking a short position. And then where would my target be? This former low. So that's like a 6-point thing. Sometimes it's a good idea to get ideas in these quote unquote boring sectors. I mean, everyone's trading tech, right? How many people have you heard talking about buying puts on Honeywell recently?
Nobody.
So sometimes you can get better prices. RTX Corp, Uber.
Check out this. Meta's bounced off 530 2 days in a row. I'm looking for it to break through today when you get to that sector.
Was that Facebook?
Yeah, Meta.
I call it Facebook.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, this looks to me like it's rolling over.
Yes.
Pretty quiet though yesterday and today, but I mean, here's where I would look at. So what level are you looking at there? 530.
530.
So you're looking for it to move forward today? Well, I don't know if we're going to get much movement either way in the market, but on the downside, I mean, that looks pretty clear there, right? So now this is a type of situation where, just say you're a day trader, it's good to know where these levels are from the last few days. Most volume trades at the open and at the close. So let's look at that there too. So let's call that 531.70. All right. So the opening price here, 531.79. The opening price here, 531.90. So let's see, five. Yeah. All right. So that was an 11 cent difference. And then yesterday's high trade was 531.66. So, and also like the high trade here was 531.50. So a lot of volume is traded right around in this range here, like the high 531s. So you see how that's kind of important there? High
Yeah.
trade there, open there, high trade there. So, and on the downside, I would say you got your closing price here, you got your opening price there, you got your low price there. So now, if I was day trading this, all right, it's good to know where those levels are, because if we get down to around here, there's a decent chance we get a bounce. And if we get up to here, there's a decent chance it rolls over. So if we look at the 1 day chart of that, this is what we see. So now we know that if it gets down to here today, okay, there's a good chance it bounces. Another level would be kind of even down here. See the low there and the low there. And on the upside, look, we got right up to there and then we sold off.
It's a well-defined range.
Oh yeah, that's right, Jackson Hole. Well, I don't know, man.
With $1 million revision on jobs, I don't see how he can do any of that, taking any kind of victory lap.
If it's true,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's true, I think that would be pretty interesting, pretty interesting news. So we shall see.
What'd you do, Postman? Get yourself banned from YouTube.
I know, it's so weird, man. It's all right. So let's see. Here are our stocks that are moving this morning. If you guys got questions, just fire away here.
Man, listen, check this out. So I had a friend of mine call me last night. His brother-in-law got into a car accident yesterday in New Jersey with an illegal. Guy had no driver's license, no insurance. Broke his ankle in like 7 spots. So he's in the emergency room. He doesn't have anybody he can sue. His insurance isn't going to let him cover uninsured motorists because the guy was here illegally. And so now he's just going to be crippled for the rest of his life.
Well, they're going to fix him.
Well, they'll fix him, but he's still responsible. I mean, he won't have any recourse.
Well, just don't pay your bill. That's all.
Yeah. Well, walking around with a limp for the rest of your life over some crap like that is wrong.
That's why it's so expensive, because no one pays their bills.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Just sad though.
Yeah. Well, it's what's amazing is all these old people, like, I don't think they've made the connection that all these illegals are going to be put on Social Security. So, I mean, what we've got to get rid of? This whole, I think, birthright. If you're born here, you're a citizen. Because
the anchor baby thing, yeah.
Let's just say you're some rich person who lives in Spain, okay? And you're about to have a baby. Well, why don't you just go on vacation to the United States? Then if you have a baby there, the kid could come back to Spain, and then when he gets older, they'll get Social Security, he'll get this, he'll get that, I mean, it just seems like such an obvious way to game the system. I mean, if I didn't live in the United States and I was going to have kids, I would think about that, I mean, it's like free money. You just go on a vacation, just get born over here. So, I don't think anyone is against immigration. It's like you got to do it legally.
I'm not sure about that in New Jersey, Jason. I asked him that, and he said he wasn't sure about it either. And he's been there a long time. You have uninsured motorists in
the comment you made about the Olympics? All right, well, tell us what you said, because I promise you won't get banned here. So that's pretty.
Oh, funny. No, yeah, we already talked about the DNC, Brandy. You didn't miss much. So FTU.
Well, there's a lot there to work with. I'm sure we'll revisit it later on during the week.
So we've got a few.
Look at this intel, man. This is really kind of turning here.
Okay, good, man. I'm glad to know that. See, Dennis is like that. He probably didn't have uninsured motorist coverage. Still a shame he got hit by an illegal.
I think there's only a couple states in the country where. Oh, actually, no. That's where you don't need insurance. Period. I think there's only 2 states, but yeah, I guess that's another option there. But it happens all the time. I mean, I was reading in their Stanford paper. It was like the drunk driving patrol. They go out and they look for drunk drivers, and they caught this dude yesterday who was like, I don't know, at 50 times the legal limit, and it was like 2 p.m. sort of like looking around for drunk drivers at 2 p.m. It's pretty amazing. But
Hey, man, they're everywhere all the time.
yeah, it's pretty scary. So here is Intel, which I don't know what the long-term situation is here, but we talk about when we see like a one-day reversal pattern. We've been talking about um, the bullish engulfing patterns. That's when the change in leadership takes place in one day. Here we have a situation where, let me see if I can find it, where the change in leadership from bears to bulls, it looks like it's taken place over kind of an extended period of time. So this is what we could call our potential rounded bottom. And we're going up into a gap here. As we know, one of the main reasons why we get our resistance is because we get these remorseful buyers trying to sell. Well, this closed here on this day and it opened here on this day, which means there was no trading at all these prices in here. So if there's no trading, there's no one who bought who is going to be trying to sell their shares on the way back up. So if the market does start to move ahead here, and like I said, I don't know if it's going to happen today. I mean, this might be a good place to be. In terms of the long term, though, I mean, I don't really know. Company cuts its dividend and so forth. That tends not to be a good thing. But just as a trade, you could look at something like this, and you like the way a trend follower would look at this. Well, I mean, there are different ways to define that, but you could just say, you know what? I'll probably just jump in here on Intel, and as long as it stays above this uptrend line, I'll just stay with it. If it breaks the uptrend line, then that's where I close out. So let's just say hypothetically you buy it here, it goes up to 22, gets up to 23, and then all of a sudden it crosses the line there. That's where you sell. Say it gets all the way up to here, and then it crosses the line. That's where you sell. So it's like you're not really having a set target price, but you have an exit strategy. And this could be seen as like an exit strategy that is both. It's an exit strategy for taking a profit, but it's also a trailing stop strategy. So if you bought around 21, once you get up to 22, obviously you're going to be having a profit. And the way you can kind of hold on to that is assuming no news comes out. That's going to really move the thing. But you could just have a strategy where once it starts to go sideways, you get out. Think about what a trend line is, right? It's not like the same as a support level, but think about how a chart is recorded. And say it was 100 years ago, and at the end of every day, you would have to go fill out your charts by hand, right? So every day it moves up. The days are going by. You write in your prices or whatever. All of a sudden, just say it starts going sideways for 3 days in a row. Well, that's going to make it cross the trend line. So that's like your wake up call. It's like, hey, Intel was going up, but it's stopped going up. It's gone sideways for 3 days. And when something is going up, what's the first thing it needs to do before it starts to go down? It needs to
Stop
stop
going
going
up.
up. So that could be your signal that, hey, start paying attention to me here. I might be about to go down. So I look at a trend line as though it's like this graphical illustration. And a lot of people ask me, like, how many times does a trend line need to be touched to be valid? And and I know why they say that. They say that because in a lot of the technical analysis literature, it says, oh, it's got to be touched 3 times to be valid, or it's got to be touched 5. I think that's just kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's a visual reference aid. Sometimes it'll touch it, sometimes it won't. But anyway, that's my take on those.
So, Mark, we got a couple of stocks up here: CMG, and then FUTU, and then GEO as well. I'll be good to have you back, buddy. Hope all is well.
Yes, I haven't seen Ivy in a while. CMG, Chipotle Mexican Grill. I love Mexican food. I would say that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
All right, really nothing going on this morning over here. Trading just down 5 cents in the pre-market. Interesting thing too of note here, though. Notice how on this day, Tuesday, August 13th, we get this big sell-off. And where do we find the bottom? Right there. Which was not a coincidence. It was the bottom there because it was the bottom over here. So say you were an astute day trader and you saw this big move down and you're thinking like, what the heck? This stock opened at 50.79 and now it's all the way down to 48. So it's down almost 3 points. And then you look and you say, you know what? Back on last Monday, the 5th, it found a bottom right around 48. So if it looks like it's going to hold 48, it goes from 48 to say 48.10 and 48.20. It's going to hold 48. I know that things tend to rally off of support levels because we get these buyers outbidding each other. So I'm just going to jump in here. And then you would have closed out up here at the end of the day around 51.70. So this would have been in a situation where you could have a effective low risk short term idea by knowing where the bottom was a week and a half before. And then what was that one? FUTU?
FUTU.
So you should have seen the rain we had up here the other day. It was a lot of places. It was a record in Monroe, which is where my cousin lives. It's probably about half an hour from here. They had 10 inches.
Good Lord, man. That's a lot for you guys all stuffed together. Where's the water go? You got good drainage?
I don't know about up there. Here, we're on the coast. There was a rainstorm. It was the year that it was, I think, 2007 or 2008. And so we get this rainstorm, and it was like an inch fell in like an hour, right? And the entire city backed up with water, floods everywhere, because the person who was responsible for opening the floodgates at the harbor forgot their keys at home. So by the time they got home and got back to open the floodgates, the town had been like, there was like all these car
Oh
dealerships
my
that like
goodness.
lost dozens of cars. I think the lawsuits are still going on, but all because some
Wow.
guy forgot his keys. Isn't that amazing?
There should be a master key like at Town Hall or something instead of one guy
Yeah.
having control of that. We got a hurricane coming, supposed to be here Sunday.
Really?
Yeah. Geo is next, please. After you get done with Futu.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Postman. I think the path of least resistance to Intel is up, especially if it starts to refill that gap. So here's kind of a thing we just saw this right on CMG. We get this big move lower, and where do we find a bottom? The same level that was a bottom before. So, moral to the story: if something's really falling apart, and you're thinking, I'd like to buy that, I'm just not sure where. How about the person who said, you know what, I'll buy it if it gets to 50. I like 50. That's a good price. Well, guess what? They missed out. They had the right idea to buy it because it was overdone, but because they guessed, they missed out. The person that says, well, you know what? Of course, I'd rather pay 50, but it looks like there's a bottom around 53, so I'm going to have to bump my order up to 53. Well, they're the person who bought it, and now they're profiting. So here we can see we got some resistance around 63 and a half, I would call it, right where we're trading this morning. So this is an example where what was support turns into resistance. So there's people who bought here who regret their decision to do so once they get underwater. And when it finally gets back to their price and they can get out at break even, they place sell orders. So those sell orders is what forms this resistance. And now kind of the same thing, but manifested in a different way. You get people who bought up here who regret doing so because the day after they bought, the market just collapsed. So they're going to be trying to sell to get out over here. So this is why there tends to be resistance at levels that had been support before and levels that had been resistance before, right? An important price level, its importance can shift back and forth between support and resistance. So that's an important thing to understand. And obviously, if you have a good sense of where these things are going to turn over, it's going to help with your trading because the market's just going to tell you, hey, put the order here, put the order there, as opposed to just guessing. There's your bearish engulfing pattern here. See, now there was a couple moves higher a couple of days after it, but this just shows you that lurking within the market, there are really aggressive sellers out there.
That's a really nice little thing that they've got there in Jersey, man. They don't do that here in Florida.
What's that?
That in New Jersey, medical bills that a patient cannot pay, the provider must offer a repayment plan of no more than 3%. These hospitals down here, they want your money.
Yeah, well, New Jersey is a very liberal state. I mean, I remember I had a friend who had I don't remember what happened. I think he inherited it from his grandmother or whatever. But anyway, he had like a 3-family house down there, and like some of the people stopped paying rent, and there's like nothing you can do, man. It takes like 3 years to get rid of them because it's a renter friendly state. Um, oh yeah, Lowe's reported. I just wanted to show you this. This is your bullish engulfing pattern, which preceded this move higher here. All right. And just think about this. On this particular day in the morning, it looked like it was going to be another down day. The opening price was lower than this day's close, but by the close, what happened? The buyers overpowered it, pushed it all the way back up. So this is where a trend changes in one day. We saw Intel, it could be a shift of leadership from the bears to the bulls has taken place over the course of a month or so, or 3 weeks or so. And then you can see the bearish engulfing pattern is a pattern that shows up when the leadership changes in one day. And there's your bearish engulfing pattern. All right, so what are some of the other ones?
GEO, please. GEO. And then AVGO.
And in New Jersey, you can't pump your own gas either.
No, you cannot.
Is this GEO the REIT? I mean, this looks pretty neutral to me. Now, here's a bearish engulfing pattern that didn't work out. Of course, that just shows us that these patterns are not infallible, but they do stack the odds in your favor, and that's all you can really kind of ask for. See, like right here, we know that 13 is an important price level, which makes sense. It's a nice round level. If random walk theory was true, or efficient market theory was true, every price level would have the same importance. So we wouldn't see stuff like this. So here resistance becomes support. And on the upside, I mean, 13.25, I mean, that's not really that much movement. I don't know if this is tradable, but maybe if it breaks out one way or the other, if it breaks below 13, you look for something on the short side. And if it breaks above 13 and a quarter, you look for something on the long side.
And then AVGO. Steve's got it long on his radar at 130.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets to 130, yeah, because that's the former bottom, right? I mean, it would take a while to get there, but I mean, yeah, if it gets to something that was an important bottom back here in June and an important bottom here, there's a good chance it would rally.
It's definitely broke that downtrend, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at that. There's a real. So again, here's a situation where now technically this isn't a bearish engulfing pattern, or sorry, a bullish engulfing pattern, but just think about what it shows, right? The blue candle. This means it will open down here. By the close, it was all the way up to here. So it opened around 129, and by the close, it was trading in the 140s. So that just shows you the buyers just kind of came out of the woodwork and just really just aggressively bought it. Now here we have a bearish engulfing pattern, which didn't play out as they do most of the time. See, it looked like it was going to be another up day, but by the close, it was down here. But then the next day, it just kind of trended higher. So just goes to show you that the patterns are not infallible. If they were, everyone would use them, right? All right, what else we got going on over here?
Nothing in the chat, but we need natural gas, oil, Bitcoin.
All right, crude oil. Yeah, now this looks like a potential trade here. I would probably even think about getting long right now. Notice how, well, obviously you got a very clear price level here, support around 72.80. You don't need to be a chart guru to see that. Last couple of times it's gotten to 72.80, found support. And markets tend to rally off the support because some of the buyers who created the support with their buy orders, they start to worry that they're going to get outbid. They know sellers are going to go to whoever's willing to sell at the highest price. So they start to outbid each other. They start to raise their bids. So you get this like bidding war. And this is why we rally off of support sometimes. So now look at today, right? We got this old little sledgehammer guy going down here. Now forget the fact that it looks like a sledgehammer. Let's just think about what it shows us. Today, we got all the way down to here. Here's the low trade. Now we're all the way back up to there. So the sellers were really driving the market, but at some point, the buyers came in and really overpowered them. So that was right around 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, I guess the trading in Europe. But it's not a matter of what does the pattern look like. It's a matter of what does the pattern show us. And yeah, it looks like a sledgehammer, but think about what it illustrates. Well, it got all the way down to there, and now it's all the way back up. So maybe the reversal of this downtrend has finally started. So we've been looking at this. So this is a situation where I mean, I would probably wait for it to clear pretty much right where it is now. Maybe at like 74 is where I would jump in. And you could trade if you don't trade futures, you could trade this USO ETF. This is designed to track oil. So now remember, these charts are going to look a little different because oil is open pretty much all the time, and this is only open from 9:30 to 4. But if you're a retail trader and you want to get exposure to oil, I mean, it's more than sufficient.
You also have Gush. And you got a
Yeah.
question here from Postman Mark. Do you take into account the last bounce?
On which one?
On any stock, do you take into account the height of the last bounce?
Well, yeah. I mean, you want to look for where the bottom was that day. If you got something specific to show me, I can take a look at it. But yeah, it's a lot of this just like let's look here at natural gas. Now it looks to me like natural gas is going to go higher. All right. So looks like it's clearing this resistance level here. And here again is our bullish engulfing pattern. So let's not get too caught up with the name. Let's just think of what it shows us. It looked like yesterday was going to be another down day. The opening price was lower than the prior day's close. But by the end of the day, what had happened? The buyers came in and completely overpowered the sellers and pushed it higher. And importantly, pushed it right through like the level here where there was probably some resistance because it was a closing price and an opening price. And that shows that there's some really aggressive natural gas buyers out there. And today it looks like we're breaking support. So here is a situation where
breaking resistance.
Yeah, sorry. So we're pretty much right around these bottoms here. So I would probably get interested with this around maybe 230, 232. And then like in oil, you can get exposure with UNG, which is an ETF that tracks natural gas. And then you could also use some of these leverage ETFs like the BOIL. This is designed to move in the same way as natural gas by about twice as much. And if it reverses and goes lower, I mean, I think it's going higher. But there's the cold ETF, KOLD, which is designed to move in the opposite direction of natural gas by about twice as much. So there's a lot of ways to get exposure on the short side and to get exposure to leverage if you're a retail trader here. And believe me, institutions use these things too. I mean, institutions are widely used by ETF. Like when I used to trade microcap or small cap, well, just say someone said, all right, you know what? You're a microcap manager. We're going to give you $100 million to manage. Well, you can't just go out and buy $100 million worth of microcap stocks because you're going to just jack everything up. So this would be the benchmark index, right? The microcap ETF. So what would you do is you'd put the $100 million into this because that makes you market agnostic. It makes you tied in with your benchmark. And then as you slowly sell stuff off, you start to buy other stuff. So ETFs are used for a variety of different reasons. But here, so this is our microcap ETF, very different than oil. But what's not different? The psychology of the people that are doing the trading. This is why we find support at the level that had been support before. Now, I don't know. The market looks kind of dead, but if it does start to move ahead, there probably could be some pretty decent upside here.
Yeah, that's a $2 gap too.
We could refill a gap here. So maybe this gets to around like say maybe 120, 150. Then you start thinking about getting in. But here we can see, right? We have our gap up, our fast moves up, spend some time going sideways. We reverse and we get to those prices going in the opposite direction. One of the main reasons why we get support is because we get these remorseful sellers trying to buy things back. Like, for example, people sold down here and then the next day the thing ripped higher. So when it finally gets back to their level, these remorseful sellers trying to buy stuff back has created support at the level that was support before. when you rip really fast and you gap up through price levels like this, there's just not a lot of time for there to be a lot of vested interest. There's going to be these big groups of people that want to sell or people that sold who are trying to buy on the way back down. That reminds me, the action in the consumer staple sector is pretty interesting. There's been some really aggressive buying here. Now, the reason why I think this is kind of interesting is sometimes before the market heads south, you see some real strength in consumer staples. It's like the flight to safety. People are buying things that they think are going to go down less than the broader market. And if you look at just going back a year here in consumer staples, this is pretty unusual action for this thing. It doesn't really gap that much. So this is some really aggressive buying, and aggressive buying tends to take place at two places, at the beginning of a trend or at the end of a trend.
So yes, we talked about Intel already. Jason, Mark will pull back up his chart and show it to you. TLT for Steve. And you got a good
Yeah, we
question
looked
here.
at Intel before.
You got a good
Yeah, I mean, I
question
don't know
here.
the long-term situation here, but if the market moves ahead, we got a big gap we can refill here. And this is a situation where it's not like an engulfing day. This is a situation where the trend, the leadership from the bulls taking over from the bears has kind of taken place over an extended kind of a period here.
You see this question from Jason down here?
Well, I mean, not necessarily. It depends on, I mean, probably.
Very nice. Jason's been in it since Friday. We got a lot of Jasons in here.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting with this these job numbers. I mean, I don't know if it's some kind of an anomaly, if it's just not that unusual, but it just seems pretty. It's like, how could they be so wrong? That's I guess that would be my ultimate question: is how could they be so wrong? These are people that get paid a lot of money to come up with these predictions and to put this data out.
Well,
And
and most of these jobs only beat by like 40 to 50,000 jobs every time they announced them. So if you're revising them by 750 to a million, then all of those times that they beat, they didn't beat.
yeah, I mean, I think the government would definitely kind of owe us some kind of an explanation.
Ha ha. Good luck with
Not
that.
that we're going to get it.
Right.
Maybe they can give me $25,000 to go buy a new house. That comes from here, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this is a pretty cool website if you're into this kind of stuff here. So TLT,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, kind of testing some resistance here. So let's watch this for a potential move to the downside. Yeah, so I don't know, man. If that, like I said, I don't really know the magnitude of it, and if it's really that important, I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. But there would be a lot of questions to be answered if they were that wrong. But like I said, maybe it's not unusual. Maybe they do that every year. I mean, I don't know. All right, let me know if you guys got any questions. If not, I got to go do some family stuff here. I've decided I'm going to switch over to Frontier Communications because Cablevision sucks, or Optimum Online. So
Nice.
just a little FYI. Missing New York City lawyer shared haunting final post before vanishing on doomed yacht. Yeah, I saw that, like some tornado hit a yacht.
Yeah, it was
Harley
big.
Davidson slams brakes on woke policies after sparking biker and social media outrage.
I got a question here. Mark, do you do any classes on dividend stocks?
Yeah, talk about dividend stocks. Yeah. Hey, so do you know why Harley Davidsons are called hogs? Because it was either Harley or Davidson that when they first started becoming popular, he had a pet pig, pet hog, and he would bring it to all the shows with him.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
Hogs are
right.
cool, man. Very smart animals. I used to raise them for our county fair.
Well, Brandy, hopefully that'll change soon. That's pretty good, man. All right, everyone. I guess we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys. If you get a chance, like, subscribe, share, and spread us around to as many people as you know. Thank you for showing up with us today. Have a good day.